Good morning, everyone, and TGIF, happy Friday. Well, I guess it depends on what part of the country you're on, but hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pageant Sit Down. I know we typically go live on Mondays and Wednesdays, but today we have a very special edition. For those who don't know me, my name is Regina Lena, and I am your host, and I am so happy that you are here with us. But more so, I am so excited to have our guest all the way from Kuwait. She is our reigning Ms. Belleza. Well, I knew I was going to do this. Ms. Belleza Latina 2020-21, Beatriz. Hi, Bea.
Hi.
I knew I was going to do that. I was practicing it right before we went live. I'm like, something's going to happen. I know it. Well, welcome to the show.
But you corrected it quickly, so perfect.
I had to. I was
Thank
like,
you
oh
so
no.
much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I know we're on different time zones, but I'm glad that we're able to make it happen. So good morning or good afternoon. For those who don't know you, before I bring out my prop, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Beatriz Flores. I am the current Miss Belleza Latina International 2021. I am currently deployed. I'm actually in Iraq. I was in Kuwait a month ago, but I moved up to Iraq. I'm with the 1st Theater Sustainment Command. I'm part of the Syrian Logistics Cell, supporting soldiers that are currently in Syria. I am an officer in the Army, a logistics officer. And in the civilian world, I am a clinical social worker at the VA hospital in Seattle as a suicide prevention specialist. When I'm not in uniform or competing in pageants or working, I love to go salsa dancing. That's my thing. I love reading, and I just love spending time with friends and family. And I love things like this, getting to sit down with other sister queens and having wonderful conversations about the pageant world. So thank you for having me, Jean.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. It's an honor to take a little bit of your time. I know we first met back in 2019 at Canada Galaxy, and to be able to talk to you virtually is amazing. Of course, I'd love to see you in person, but again, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're really busy right now, and we've been working on this special edition for a while, so I'm glad we made it happen. So it's morning here in Canada. I have not had my coffee yet, but I have my coffee next to me, and I put it in a specific mug just because you were coming on today. Don't know if you are ready for this, but here you go.
Oh, no. So
cute.
I think word is out on my Grogu obsession.
Yes.
I love it.
I was like, I need to put my coffee in a specific mug. It's not even mine, but I was like, I need this mug. And so here it is. I'm going to happen. Is Grogu there with you now?
So cute. Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely. In fact, I have a second Grogu now since someone mailed me one.
Wow. That's amazing. Oh, so Cindy just popped in. She says, hi, I woke up for this. So good morning, Cindy. Scott Dion Brown is also in the chat. He says good morning, and he is a huge Star Wars fan. So he is also like you, where he loves Grogu. He actually brings one on to our show every Sunday and just has him sitting around. So I'm so used to it now. Does your
Hi, well, thanks for joining us, Scott.
Does your Grogu have his own army outfit?
No, unfortunately, but I need to work on that.
I think at Build-A-Bear they might have a little outfit for him. Maybe.
That would be cute.
It would. But we're not here to talk about Grogu. We're here to talk about you. And you mentioned you're currently in Iraq. How is that going?
It's going really well. I'm here with an amazing team. We've been working together since the summer of last year and really developed a close-knit team, and we're kind of like a little family. So we take care of each other. We communicate with our families very often. We have our own little Facebook page to ensure that we're keeping families up to date with everything that's going on. We try to celebrate life events out here as best as we can, definitely birthdays, and because we know it's so hard to be away from family and friends and in a deployed environment. So just having this group of people has made this experience so much better.
That's amazing. How long have you been in the Army for?
Ooh, now you're going to age me.
Sorry.
No, I've been... So I commissioned in the Army in 2006. So about 14 years. It'll be 15 in May.
Wow. That's crazy. So what made you decide you wanted to join the Army to begin with?
So in high school, I was one of those JROTC nerds. So every Thursday I was in uniform. No, but I was always interested in the military. And but what really impacted me was 9/11. I was a junior in high school at the time, and I remember being in my first period English class, and our teacher said, I'm about to show you something that's going to change, our lives forever. It's going to change the trajectory of U.S. history in a huge way. And so he turned on the television, and, I saw the news of the attacks on 9/11. And, the military was already something I was interested in, but this really set my goal to be in the military because I wanted to do my best to protect my country and protect the people I love. And I've always had a strong calling to serve. And so once I got into college, I joined the ROTC program, which is a commissioning source. 3 years later, I graduated college and commissioned as an officer in the military. And I've served ever since, and I loved it.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for everything that you do for your country. But I also feel that, Canada and the U.S., we're so close-knit that I feel like you're doing us the service as well. So thank you for all of us here in North America. So you went from high school
Canada is... Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry. Internet. It happens. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's the bad Iraq internet that I have out here. But yeah, Canada is one of our allies. So I have served with the Canadian Army before. It was a great privilege. So yeah, I definitely share the same sentiments.
100%. Well, I was going to say, you went from high school to college straight to the Army. How did pageantry get involved, and when did it get involved?
So I did try a pageant when I was a teenager. I couldn't tell you which one it was, but I could tell you that I did very poorly. Because I wasn't prepared. I didn't know anything about pageants. And back then, we didn't have the same resources like social media and YouTube and things like that, where you can really research and know what pageants are. So it was only what I saw on TV, and I wanted to try it as a kid. And also back then, I didn't really have a lot of resources. I didn't come from a family that was very affluent. So that is challenging in the pageant world when you do have to pay for wardrobe and things like that. So yeah, my first pageant experience, I didn't do well, but I loved the experience itself. I didn't come back to compete again until I turned 30. One of my friends, her name is Lupita Villarreal. She was Miss Belleza Latina International 2016, 2015. She reached out to me through social media, and she just encouraged me to compete. I didn't realize at the time that there was pageants for women over 30, because I would watch Miss USA and Miss America, and I always saw that they had like an age cutoff for those pageants. But no, she really opened my eyes to the pageant industry and just how many different systems there are out there that, that cater to all different backgrounds and ages and things like that. So she told me about the Belleza Latina system, and she told me about the opportunities that are out there as a title holder and what you can do with that title to really give back to the community. I saw everything that she was doing with her title, and she was out there and really making a difference in the community. And, that in itself was inspiring for me. So I chose to compete back in 2016 in a pageant. Back then there were state level pageants, and I did win that title. And it was an amazing experience. And I was hooked on not only pageantry, but the Latina system in general. After that, I went to nationals since I had that state title, and I got first runner-up to Cindy, who's currently listening. And that experience was unforgettable and amazing, and I made some incredible friendships, like the one I have with Cindy. And I took a few years off, but that pageant bug, it bites you, and you are it's addictive. And I needed to go back. So finally, I decided to go back, and I guess it was my year this year, and it's been amazing.
That's awesome. So when you're there in Iraq, do you get to do some appearances and use your title, or is it only virtual calls that you're able to do?
It's virtual. Yeah. We're so busy here with the mission that we have that I really don't have the opportunity to do anything. And what makes it even more challenging is the COVID environment. We can't really leave the base. So if I were to do any in-person appearances, it would be within the base, which is kind of awkward.
That's fair.
For me. So I do try to stick to virtual then.
So you had this entire 2-year reign. What was your favorite in-person appearance versus your favorite virtual so far appearance?
That's a really, really tough one, because I've had so many amazing opportunities, like going to Canada and judging that pageant along with Crystal, going to Austin and emceeing the Texas Galaxy pageant, which, by the way, is not my forte, but I really loved it. And going to New York and spending time with my sister queen Jessica at New York Fashion Week. But I think that the one that really stands out is going to the pageant event in Wisconsin. And the reason it does is not only did I get to spend time with a bunch of sister queens from across all different systems, but it was the time where I was introduced to Marley's Ministry, which is an organization that has an angel gown program that provides donated gowns to babies that were lost too soon. And so I got connected with them at that event. And since then, I was able to donate many angel gowns to different NICUs across the country, including some in California, in Texas, in Indiana, and of course, Washington State. So I think making that connection with that amazing organization is something that has really stood out to me.
100%. We were introduced to them as well from Crystal, and I had brought a bunch of them to the Philippines when I went in February, but then COVID was just happening there. So I brought them home with me, and we're still in lockdown, so hopefully I'll be able to deliver them soon. But no, it's just such a great cause, and you don't think of it because you're not surrounded by NICU news all the time, and you don't really know what happens behind the doors. So it's such a great cause.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I hope you're able to get out there soon.
Hopefully. I mean, we're still in lockdown in Toronto, so I have no idea when that's going to happen. But hopefully before the end of my reign, I'll put it out there that way.
Yes.
So what has been, I guess, some of the challenges that you've had to face during your reign during the pandemic and then going off to Iraq?
Well, yeah, the pandemic definitely set my reign off the rails a little bit, but in fact, in March was when everything kind of happened. And at the time, I was getting ready to go to the UK with Maria and the other sister queens from Galaxy and Belleza Latina to go and judge the UK pageant, or to go spend time in the UK for the Galaxy pageant. And that quickly derailed because of the pandemic. And so that was a missed opportunity. But, you just had to become creative in this kind of environment. One thing that the pandemic did create was opportunities to serve and to help, because so many people lost their jobs or their ability to get food, or like an example was Meals on Wheels was having a tremendous time finding volunteers to deliver meals to the elderly or to people who needed these meals. And so just volunteering for those organizations that were still looking for volunteers for the needy population, but also having more virtual events. One thing that I was grateful for was that a previous Belleza Latina queen, she provided me with about 10 crowns she said, do what you want with these. And I was like, this is amazing. This is an amazing opportunity, because right now what this pandemic has showed us is there are so many people that rise to the challenge and the occasion and want to make a big difference. And those people for me were the frontline heroes, the people that were not only working in the hospitals, but were providing services, even our, police officers and things like that. So I wanted to give people in the community the opportunity to nominate people that they feel have done an amazing job during this pandemic. And although I wasn't able to go and crown them personally because of COVID, I was able to ship them a crown with a certificate, just thanking them for the work they're doing. And, I got to honor people from all over the United States, from Wisconsin, Texas, Washington, out in the East Coast. So yeah, people were really wanting to recognize heroes in the community, and just having that opportunity was great. So yeah, the pandemic did derail things, but there was definitely a lot of opportunities to be creative and still be involved in the community.
100%. That's amazing. I think what you guys are doing is just phenomenal. I know Crystal KV, we had her on Wednesday, and she was talking about the program that she created too. So it's so great to see that you, especially for yourself, doing frontline workers is just phenomenal, because you are also a frontline worker in itself. So that's amazing that you're able to give back. I do actually have a question from Instagram. You're Ms. Belleza Latina. I hope I said that right. Belleza?
Yes,
okay.
Perfect.
There you go. I'm going to keep it at that. And so that pageant focuses more on Latino women, which is amazing. So a question that I have here is, how important do you think Latin representation is in pageantry?
Oh, it's huge. I think that representation in general in any industry is huge, because other women and especially our young women, that it is possible to achieve that. It's possible to do that. So especially in pageantry, just having that representation kind of gives someone a goal to look up to, and just the certainty that if they wanted to try something like that, it is possible for them to achieve it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think representation is definitely key.
Awesome. And then she has another follow-up question, and it's, do you think Afrolatinos are underrepresented in pageantry?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And the great thing is that Maria did encourage more Afro-Latinos and Black women to compete in both Galaxy and Belleza Latina, to encourage them, because there is underrepresentation from them. And the Latino community is very diverse. We have Afro-Latinos, we have Latinos with very different backgrounds, especially indigenous backgrounds. So I would love to, continue to expand and build that representation in the Belleza Latina pageant system, for sure.
And it's amazing that there is this pageant system, but it's also amazing that it goes hand in hand with Galaxy as well. So you get this whole international feel when you're there, and that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. But you're right, representation does matter. And whether it be Latina or, I know right now there's a lot going on with Asian hate, so Asian representation, everything matters. And I think what you said is 100% true. Another question that I have from Instagram is, why did you pick the Army and not Marine or Air?
Good question. When I first was a JROTC nerd back in the day, I actually wanted to be a Marine drill instructor. The ones that really get in your face and train the basic trainees. But that kind of evolved. I think honestly, I think it was just heavily influenced by the ROTC program that I was in. It was the one that was available at my university. Each ROTC program is different. Some are Army, Air Force. So the one that was available was Army. So that's really why I chose Army, just the availability. But all the other services are just as great.
What is ROT?
Oh, Reserve Officer Training Corps. Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
The Army, we use acronyms for everything. So I forget that sometimes not everyone knows all the acronyms.
No, it's fine. I mean, my brothers did the cadet program here in Canada. They were in the Air Force, so Air Cadet. So I'm more familiar with their lingo. And I was like, wait, what is that? That's awesome. It's funny because we're talking about training and stuff, and in my head, do you remember that movie Cadet Kelly with Hilary Duff?
Yes.
That's what I thought of. And so when you're like, I wanted to be in their face, I automatically went to that movie for some reason. I don't know why.
That's a good throwback. Yeah,
it is. It really is. So the Costi sisters are watching. So our our little miss and our preteen are tuned in. Shouldn't you ladies be in school? Good morning.
Good morning.
So
I remember both of them. They were so cute.
So for all of you who are watching and have any questions for Beatriz, make sure you leave the comments in the live chat and I will make sure to ask her. So Bea, beforehand you mentioned that you enjoy Latin dancing, so salsa dancing specifically. I've been to one salsa club here in Toronto and it is intense. How long have you been dancing for?
So I've always loved dance since I was little. I was on the dance team in high school as well. Growing up in the Mexican culture, I was used to dances more like cumbia or tejano. But it wasn't until I deployed to Afghanistan, there were nights, that was in 2009, there were some nights that they would teach salsa, and that's when I really learned how to dance it. So since 2009, and I've been absolutely addicted. I love salsa, I love bachata, I love merengue. I think it's just in my blood. But so when this thing that they call flow, it's that state of being where your mind is just clear and you're just in the moment and having fun and enjoying life. And for me, that's when I'm dancing. And so it's definitely something that I really miss during this pandemic. So I can't wait to get back to it.
You can't dance on bass?
Maybe in my own room by myself, yeah.
Dance with Grogu. He'll be the perfect dance partner.
That's a good idea.
That's amazing. Oh, it's their mom. The girls are at school. Okay, hi Janice. I got confused. I was like, why are they at home? But okay, cool. No, that's amazing. So Beatrice, we're actually almost at the halfway point. So I did want to know, what would be your 5 tips for any beauty queen hopeful, beauty pageant hopeful that might be watching today?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, you have to be prepared. It doesn't matter if this is your first pageant or your 10th pageant. Every pageant is unique. Every pageant has, something that you have to prepare for. So don't go into the pageant thinking that you can just wing it. You have to come prepared, because I can tell you that the other delegates will also come prepared. And to me, being prepared means researching the pageant, knowing what their mission is. It also means knowing all the areas of competition and practicing those areas of competition, having a platform as well. And something to also think about when it comes to being prepared is having the resources and all the logistics in place for pageant week, because it's such an intense week that you need to be prepared for that week. It'll be less stressful for you if you do that. And just remember that you're interviewing for your dream job, so you want to be prepared for that interview. Uh, the next thing I would say is to develop a platform. I gave a seminar during CrownCon on how to develop a platform and the reason why it's so important to have one. I think, first of all, having a platform is beneficial for you because it helps you through an interview, because it not only helps you identify your why, like why are you competing for this pageant, and what are you going to do if you were to win the title, and how are you going to do that? So if you're actually sitting down and deliberately coming up with a platform and a plan, you'll be able to really talk about that during the interview, so the judges can know what you're going to do. What are you going to represent? What are you going to champion as a title holder? And it also kind of helps you develop a plan on what kind of appearances you want to have once you are the title holder and what you want to focus on during your reign. I would say also to build your confidence. Confidence is huge on stage and during the interview. I'm definitely not saying that you're not going to be nervous, because I was definitely nervous during pageant week and during competition, but there are techniques you can do to continue to build your confidence. One of those things is, of course, practicing, so that way you can always have that in the back of your mind, and that, hey, I practiced for this, I got this. But also I would say practicing affirmations and self-talk, because it is normal to have negative thoughts kind of creep in during competition week, whether you're comparing yourself to other people or just, letting the stress of the pageant overwhelm you. And you have to do your best to push those negative thoughts out. And one way you can do that is practicing those affirmations and positive self-talk and being your cheerleader during competition week. And that'll help you build your confidence. And I gotta say, you do your best to not compare yourself to the other delegates. I know it's hard to do, but when you do that, it really does affect your confidence, and it does really show through. So avoid that at all costs possible. I would also say that if you are choosing to compete in a pageant, be committed to do the work. It's sad when I see title holders that don't do anything during their reign. It's such a missed opportunity for that title holder to really make a difference in their community. It also really robs the other delegates of an opportunity, because they could have been out there and doing the work and getting involved in the community. So if you're going to compete, commit to do the work. And lastly, I would say that don't be so focused on the competition that you miss out on the experience. The competition is great, but I would say one of the best parts of pageantry is just the friendships and the sisterhood that you make and develop during pageant week. I've made so many amazing friendships that are absolutely lasting. We text each other on a daily basis. We're supportive of each other and our goals. And if you're too focused on the competition, you'll miss out on building those relationships and, savoring those moments during pageant week. So those are my top five tips.
Amazing. Those are great tips. And, it's so true, everything that you said. And it's always so interesting to hear what everyone's tips are, because they're all different, but they all go hand in hand. And I love affirmations. Like you said, think positive, and then positivity will come out of it. So those are great tips. So thank you for that.
Yes.
I actually wanted to ask you about your wardrobe during the pageant, because I was obsessed with your yellow gown. Did you have a stylist, or was it more just, this is exactly what I wanted to wear and I wore it?
Oh my gosh, that's such a story. So actually, that gown came in last minute because I had ordered a gown, and when it came in, it just didn't fit right. It was a custom made gown. It didn't fit right. It didn't look right. And then I went to go get it hemmed, and they completely cut off the train of it. So I was like, oh, this is terrible. So of course I was freaking out because I didn't have a gown and it was getting so close to the competition. But again, building those friendships and sisterhood in the pageant industry, it's like sending an SOS out to the
Yes.
world and saying like, I really need to help to find a gown. And a friend of mine, Julianti, who was Miss Texas Belleza Latina in 2015, she said that I could borrow her yellow gown. So that was actually her gown.
Wow.
And yeah. And since it wasn't my gown, I didn't want to, alter it in any way. So Cindy actually came out to Florida a day before to help me safety pin and tape and do anything we can to just kind of like
Wow.
makeshift fit the gown. So it worked out great, though. I absolutely love that gown. I did give it back to Giulianti, though. But yeah, I was so lucky that Giulianti let me her gown. She saved me for sure.
Oh my
And
goodness.
honestly, it worked out way better than the one even if the custom one came in perfectly, I still think that the yellow one would have been the choice to go with.
It's beautiful. Like I saw pictures and I was like, wow, I want to wear yellow now.
It definitely stands out on stage.
100%. But it's also scary to hear, you ordered this custom gown and it didn't fit. Like I know a lot of us are getting custom pieces made from all over the world. So as a beauty queen going into competition, that is one thing that I'm terrified of, but we're not going to put that energy out there. I'm just glad that you were able to find something. So that's great. And it was stunning. So that's perfect. But it's interesting that you brought that up because Crystal Gale was on the show and she also mentioned that her fashion wear, she had a quick turnaround because she realized she didn't want to wear it anymore. So it's amazing to hear you all say you had an obstacle, but you had a quick turnaround and were able to resolve it right away, which is great because you got to be on your toes all times on pageant week.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it really does help to have supportive people in your life.
Well, it's also like Danielle, Miss Galaxy UK. She had put out an SOS to the world for a pageant dress, and now she has all these amazing opportunities coming her way. So it's amazing what kind of sisterhood and people you meet through pageantry because they really have your back.
Yes, absolutely.
I actually have a question from the chat. So Janice, the girl's mom, she's asking, what is the first meal you are going to eat when you go home?
So this is a question because I dream about food out here. So I'm plant-based or vegan. So there are very, very limited options out here in Iraq for me. For meat eaters, it's perfect. They have so many options. But for me, it's some sort of bean, some sort of rice, some sort of potato, and a salad. And it's like the same thing every day. So yeah, I've been dreaming about food. And the one thing that comes to mind is a veggie burger, specifically a Beyond Burger. Oh my goodness. See, now I'm hungry.
Sorry,
So,
don't look
Janice.
at me. It's Janice's question. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I never thought that, in the world that we're living in, it's 2021. I'm surprised that there's not many vegan options for you in the Army.
Yeah.
We need to change that.
It's definitely a challenge. They do that. Absolutely. I agree. There's some times where there's a veggie burger on the menu and it, brings up my hopes. And then I get to the cafeteria and it's the turkey burger. And I'm like, turkey is not veggie.
No. What? That's so mean. They should know not to do that.
I know.
Oh man.
Yes.
Hopefully, before the time comes and you go home, they'll have more options for you. Because I'm sure you're not the only vegan or vegetarian there, right? Or are you?
Yeah. Well, my boss is vegetarian, so she knows the struggle.
Oh man. Come on. It's 2021, people. Oh man. Well, hopefully you'll get your veggie burger or your Beyond Meat burger soon. But besides that, what else do you miss besides just the Beyond Beef or Beyond Meat burger?
I miss spending time with family. I I miss going on hikes. I loved being able to go on hikes. Here we're able to walk around the base, but it's not the best scenery. Just outdoor activities. I enjoy that a lot. I miss not having to walk, a far distance to get to the shower or the restroom.
Oh, wow.
But overall, I have everything I need out here.
Mhm. And it's great that you have the opportunity still to talk to your friends and family virtually. And it feels like because we're all in lockdown, so it's kind of like you're also in lockdown, but in another country. So,
Right.
well, you're from Texas, right?
Yes, I'm originally from Texas. Mm-hmm.
So how are cases there right now? Because they're open, right?
That is,
sorry.
Yeah, they're open. And so I do anticipate that there's going to be a surge of cases coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. So, but there are a lot of Texans that are still abiding by, the social distance, and still doing their job as a citizen to protect, the community. So.
Because I know you are quite the advocate for protecting yourself during this pandemic. I see it on your social media all the time. You got your vaccine. So hopefully by the time you get home, things will be better so that you'll be able to just enjoy life again when you're back. It's just so crazy because you're not going to be at internationals.
Yeah, I know. I was really sad about it, not being able to go, but you just never know. Mm-hmm. Things might change. I might go home early for a reason or another. I don't know.
Beatrice just shows up. What happened? I got an excuse. What's the excuse? I came home for crowding. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll put in a letter to the general, and he'll be fine. Totally.
I've had this rain for 2 years. I need to go. It's important. That's amazing. Well, one thing I wanted to ask, because, we were talking earlier about plans in the pandemic, but what was the one thing that you were looking forward to the most the minute you got crowned that you haven't been able to do because of where we are in the world now?
I think I was really looking forward to that UK trip because it was something that I would see the previous queens go to, and that was really their time where they got to spend time together, not only bond with each other, but bond with Maria. And Maria is such an amazing person, and just having that experience of exploring Europe together during that time, while also participating in the UK Galaxy pageant, is something that I was really, really looking forward to. So I was very disappointed when it didn't happen. So I'm going to have to go on the next one. I don't care if I'm not on the invite list. I'm going.
Maria, if you're watching, you heard it here first. No, but that trip always looks so fun and so amazing. And it's unfortunate because I remember we were all watching Galaxy UK post everything online, and then all of a sudden we hear lockdown, and we're like, oh, I hope they all get home okay. Especially because Maria was already there. So it was like, I hope she gets home okay.
Yeah. And I actually remember Crystal Casey, because I texted her and I was like, are you going to go? Because she was at the airport at the time, and I was still trying to decide whether or not I was going to go because I was supposed to fly out the next day. Yeah, it was crazy. It was nuts.
It's just crazy to
think. I'm so glad
think.
Maria made it back safely.
100%. It's just so crazy to think that you guys are on your way to an international destination. But besides that, okay, so here's a good question. So you've been in Galaxy and BL for quite some time. You've competed and now you come back and you won. What was the first thought that came to your head?
That's a good question. Wow.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was definitely surprised because I had some great delegates that were in my division, and I remember thinking, I can't believe I won. I think that was the first thought, was I can't believe I won. And I remember looking over to Jessica because she also had competed at BL in the past and got first runner up. And when I met her at the end of the stage, we both were like, we did it. Because I think we're both kind of in shock. So I think that was my first thought.
That's amazing. Well, I also, you mentioned, you were going to do a Galaxy girl or a girl trip to the UK to have your team trip, but you actually got to go to Canada. So I think that's just as amazing as going to the UK. Just not everyone was with you. Like, hey, what about us?
Absolutely. I loved my time in Canada. It was amazing. Cindy really puts on an amazing production. It's so organized. It is beautiful production as well. And just the other judges I got to spend time with, and we shared a place during our time there, were amazing. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Canada was up there for sure.
It's so crazy to see Canada Galaxy grow from the first year in 2019 to where it is now. I know you had a great time when you were here with us, but if you ever plan on coming back, Cindy said that we're currently at 140 delegates altogether, from all 7 divisions.
Wow.
Yep. So,
oh my goodness.
If you thought 2 years ago was big, imagine what it's going to be this year.
That's amazing. And I really do think that really shows the hard work that Cindy's really put into the system. And because of that hard work, women across Canada are seeing how amazing the system is and want to be part of it. So that's awesome.
I think we need to have a Canadian representative, though, for BL, so that we have 2 teams.
Yes, absolutely. When I was planning my trip to Toronto, I had looked up Latino organizations in Toronto because I wanted to see if there were any other appearances I could have done while I was there. But our schedule was super packed, so I wasn't able to do so. But there are a bunch of Latinos in Canada, so absolutely.
100%.
Cindy, need to be up.
Maria, Cindy, put something together. No, but it's just, okay, next time you're in Toronto, let me know, and I'll show you where, or hopefully if it's still open, where the Latin club was that I went to. It was packed. Like, there were so many people there. Like, I went there for dinner first, and it became from a restaurant to a dance bar, and it was just amazing. I didn't dance because I was very intimidated. I just watched, and even just watching, it's just so mesmerizing.
Yes, I encourage you to take classes. Don't be shy. Get out there. It is so much fun. And I found that the dancing community is very receptive to beginners, and they just want to help you and teach you and show you. So yeah, definitely get back out there on the dance floor. And I'm going to take you up on your offer. I'm going to go to Toronto, and we're going to hit this Latin restaurant club.
Yes, we will. No, I mean, they had a beginners session where if you wanted to jump on the dance floor, they would teach you. But it's just like pageantry and choreography. I'm like, I have 2 left feet. There's no way I'm going to figure out my rhythm and figure out my feet work all at the same time.
We're gonna make it happen. I'll teach you.
Awesome. Well, hopefully if you're at internationals, then maybe you could give me a quick tutorial before we go so it doesn't look silly.
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I know there's so many things that you can teach all of us. If people wanted to learn more about you or see what you're up to while you're there in Iraq,
mainly Instagram. I like to post to my stories there usually. But mainly I love answering DMs. I answer all DMs that I get. I get a lot of questions from people in the military and people in the pageant world and people that love Grogu. So yeah, if you want to know what's going on, definitely Instagram is the social media that I keep up with the most, and it's definitely the social media that I answer the most DMs for. So that would be the best place.
Amazing. So for all of those who are watching, I put the link in the description below. So make sure you follow her after today's show. I just keep watching the time because I know you're on a schedule, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But we still have a couple minutes. So I do want to know, when it comes to being in the Army and being on stage in pageantry, do you find that there are similarities or huge differences?
I think there are some similarities, and I think the similarities are like confidence and the way you carry yourself, because in the military as a leader, you do have to have a bearing. You have to physically present yourself in a way that is confident, and you have to do the same on stage. I think being in pageantry has actually helped me in the military, being able to communicate better. An example is the other day I did an interview with the Department of State on Women's History Month, and there were other women in the room with me that needed to do this on-camera interview, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous." And I was like, "Oh, I'll do it." And I think that's, the skills and stuff that I've learned from pageantry. So there are some crossing of worlds there and some similarities for sure.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see that, especially being familiar with, well, I guess in my case, the Air Force. But I actually really curious. So you're in the Army. Your walks are more stiff. How did you go from Army walk to pageant walk without breaking your stance?
I would say because of the dance background, the salsa, I think that really helps. I typically like to walk to whatever beat of the music that's being played. Definitely helps with the hip movement while you're walking. So I think having that dance background not only helps with my walk, but also helps with stage presence, because I was in a salsa dance team when I was in San Antonio. So I love being on stage. I love performing. So yeah, I think that helped a lot get rid of the stiffness of the military for sure.
That's good. I was just curious because sometimes, you go from one to another. How do you shake off the stiffness and then bring it back?
Yeah, just shaking it off to some music, I guess.
That's amazing. So when it comes to look at that. When it comes to pageantry and your pageant prep, were you able, or do you work with a coach, or do you work on just practicing yourself? Because I know in the Army it's all team based. So when it comes to pageantry, how did you prep for that?
So I didn't have a coach. I would practice walking on my own, but again, I would turn to that group of sister queens, that my little support system in the pageant world, to run wardrobe options by them, to get their opinion on my platform. Some even helped me do mock interviews to help prepare.
Wow.
So I think, yeah, I didn't need a coach because I had my own army of sister queens.
There you go. That's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome. It's so great to know that you have that support there. I love how you called it an army of sister queens. That's awesome. But you also mentioned help you create your platform. So before we end things off, what is your platform?
Yeah. So I am a clinical social worker, and I work in the mental health field, and I specifically work in suicide prevention. And, I've always been drawn to trying to break the stigma surrounding mental illness. And that's really been my focus and my platform, especially in the Latino population where the stigma is even greater. Latinos are less likely to go seek help when they need it. Teenage Latinas are more likely to commit suicide. So just having the opportunity to educate people on the prevalence of mental health issues, identifying symptoms like the same way you would identify symptoms from a physical condition. There's a way to identify symptoms for a mental health condition as well. And ensuring that people are educated on where they can get help, and encouraging people to seek help and letting them know that it's okay to not to be okay, and it's okay to speak up about the challenges that you're having. So yeah, my platform has always been guided towards breaking the stigma surrounding mental illness.
Amazing. It's so crazy to hear what the stats are, but it's also amazing to hear that this is something that you're very passionate about and is your platform. So that's great. And it eventually becomes your why and your purpose in life. And I think that with it being your job, it goes hand in hand. So that's amazing. And if anyone wanted to reach out to you to help or to learn more about your platform, the best way is Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram would be the best way.
Perfect. So ladies and gentlemen, it's in the link down below. So make sure you reach out to her. And before we wrap things up, is there anything that you would like to say to our viewers? Any last minute thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. So, this past year with the pandemic, it has been a challenge for all of us. So many people have experienced so much loss, whether that was the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, the loss of a life experience like graduation or a wedding. And, people are having a hard time. Some people are dealing with anxiety. Some people are dealing with depression. And I just want to remind everyone to give other people some grace. They may not be at their best right now, but they're doing the best that they can. So give people grace and just know that they might be going through something. But I also want to tell you to give yourself some grace, because I know that you may not have accomplished what you wanted to accomplish this past year. You may have had some setbacks because of the pandemic, but you are doing the best you can, and things are slowly getting back to normal, and you will get there. So give yourself some grace, be kind to yourself, and if you need help, don't be scared to reach out, because there are so many people there that want to help. Go ahead.
Amazing. Well, on that note, we will leave it at that for today. But Beatriz, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for taking time away from training or whatever you might be doing there in Iraq. But thank you so much for being with us today. And again, thank you for the time that you've spent in the Army and serving not only your country, but also ours. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. And thank you so much for making a special accommodation for this. I really was looking forward to sitting down with you. I love your show.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
No, I've been wanting to have you on for so long, and we've been messaging back and forth. So I'm just glad that we were able to pick a date, make it happen. And there are people here watching, so we picked a great time. And to those who are watching, thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of the Pageant Sit Down. Thank you to everyone who's been tuning in and leaving comments. We all see them. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more, like I mentioned before, we are live every Monday and Wednesday evening. So feel free to subscribe and join us for the Pageant Sit Down at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, Beatriz, thank you so much for being with us today. Please stay safe, and we cannot wait to have you in Toronto to go to a salsa class. And there's also a great restaurant here with Beyond Meat Burgers, so we will do a vegan day as well.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
So in the meantime, everyone, have a wonderful Friday. Have a great weekend and stay safe. Bye.
Bye.